Hey folks, Papa Boris here, playing some more Altered TCG. Well, we're back around the horn. I have to admit, I was a bit underwhelmed by Axiom last time I played, but I also made some pretty bad mistakes. So let's see how it goes. We're up against Muna. I think Muna and Bravo seem to be like the most popularly chosen, and also from my plays, just kind of the generally strongest. Well, there's maybe Ortis. But let's see what's going on. So I want to get a permanent down. We got the Brass Bug Hub, and we also have this. Now, I've really wanted to play with this. I think I'm sleeping on this card a little bit, or at least I want to find out if that's the case. So let's keep this. The issue is I could play the Brass Bug on turn 1, but then on turn 2, I actually cannot get a token out because I need to have all 4 mana to play this. Do I have anybody that makes my thingies more cheap? You know what I'm going to do? This is kind of stupid. Probably you should just, I don't know, keep some creatures. We'll keep the 3 little pigs. This is a 5/5/5 for 3 if you have 2 or more landmarks, and I'm gonna have this thing and that thing, and it's gonna be slow. It's gonna be real slow because I'm gonna be playing this on turn 1 and not making a token with it on turn 2, so I have all 4 mana to play this. So all I'm gonna be having for my first 2 turns are just the brass bugs. That's it. So I'm hoping I can steal a lane on turn 1 with a brass bug. It would require my opponent, who conveniently is going first, to play something expensive and let me win the other lane with a brass bug. So I'm going to go for it. Brass Bug Hub. And then I really want to see how this works. I think that this may be a very strong effect. Resupplying every turn. And we just gotta go for it. Now I'm gonna put a brass bug in the opposite lane and just hope that they can't beat a 2/2/2 with 1 mana, which they shouldn't be able to unless they play Beauty Sleep or some very weird thing. And they pass. Okay, great. So honestly, it's about as good as we could possibly have it hope to go. They get a lane, I get a lane. They do have this anchored thing here. This is the good one. Ah, God, this one that gets a boost at noon. Whatever. It definitely could be a lot worse if all you're doing is playing a 2/2/2. To get a future value thing. Okay, well, I don't think I'm going to need 2 of these, so that's at least an easy mana. And what is this thing? Sabotage for 4. A little crappy. There are cards that sabotage for 2 and cards that sabotage for 3, so I'm not thrilled about this, but, you know, then again, I might. Maybe sometimes a bad sabotage is better than no sabotage, or I could just throw it away for mana. After talking in the previous game about how maybe I'm undervaluing sabotage. Hoogie doogie. So I'm first, and I am playing face up here. We're going to pass on making the brass bug. And we're going to play the processor here. And so the question is, where do we put our brass bug? Oh, right. This is a 3/3/3. If it were a 2/2/2, there is some merit to putting the brass bug here because then my opponent would need to like put something else here in order to win this lane. Then they move and I don't. And they might not have enough mana to put something over here. Whereas if I put it here, it's not that hard to beat a 2/2/2 with 4 mana, and then you get your other movement on the other lane for free, but a 2/2/2 does not contest a 3/3/3 because this is the rare version of the Sneezer. So my opponent is like 100% guaranteed moving twice this round, and they're going to be 2 steps ahead of me after this round, which is scary because they didn't have to spend many cards to do this, and they're Muna, so I know that they have a lot of gas in the tank. But I will start getting, you know, free cards in my supply and also tokens that I do have to pay an energy for. Okay, so we pass. Well, this could have been worse. My opponent now needs to put something else in this. Oh my God, they didn't have anything else. Well, that is about as good as I could possibly hope for. They're only 1 step ahead of me. They have this anchored thing here. It's the normal version. This may come out, but, you know, turn 3 at 5 mana, I'm not as scared of it. What did I get here? Put a card from your hand in reserve. I think that might need to die. Next permanent costs 1 less. Well, this is also pretty crappy. So I have 5 mana. I spend 1 of it to make a brass bug. And 3 of it to play 3 little pigs, I think. I mean, why would I not play this? And that leaves me with 1. Okay, so we're going to discard the Keelon Elemental because I just never want to put a card from my hand in reserve since I'm already getting free resupplies. And of course, whatever I get in the reserve here, you know, could be something good. We'll see. This one's interesting. So it's a 2/4/2 for 3, which is actually still not that great. All right. We got a brass bug. Let's put it over here to contest the lane. We resupply. And we got this thing. That's cool. It's a fleeting card, but coming out of the reserve, fleeting is not a relevant drawback. And we can destroy something that costs 4 or less. That's pretty strong. So my opponent is maybe annoyed by this. They might play an understated sabotage card to get rid of it. Okay, no complaints. Now, if I play the pigs and this, then I'm going to have to trash something out of the reserve, but that's fine. I'm okay with trashing one card out of reserve, because then with this putting things into the reserve, I'm breaking even. And, you know, maybe I want to keep this instead of this. So it's giving me qualitative value in the form of choice as to what stays in my reserve and what doesn't. Okay, my opponent plays the Sneezer. Makes sense. I think what I'm going to do here is just, I mean, actually, it's kind of tough. So the fact that this has no forest is irrelevant because my opponent's not in a forest region. So I could do this annoying thing where I play this thing, and now my opponent has to play something else in here to get this lane. And then I can still play 3 little pigs over here to get the other lane. I think I'm going to do that. It's annoying for my opponent because this being here means they might not play a 3-drop since they might be concerned about me tossing it. But in reality, I'm actually planning to play the 3 little pigs. So my opponent's playing it slow. They've only played Sneezers this game. So they were generating like onboard, turnover turn value. But in exchange for that, against my slow start, they're only 1 step ahead of me. So I actually feel okay about my chances because I do have these 2 landmarks down. And I only went 1 step behind to do that. Now, if I still end up losing, that's maybe going to make me think that Muna is stronger because even like a slow roll from them versus this, like if I'm not generating enough advantage from the fact that I spent my first 2 turns doing this stuff, then, you know. I mean, this thing might just be bad. I don't know. You have to pay basically 6 mana to generate 3 brass bugs. That's 6/6 for 6, and you get a free one. Okay, so it's 4 brass bugs. Okay, so we got this. They might use that to anchor something. Now, is 3 little pigs good here? This is 5/5/5 across the board. Oh, yes, that's very good. It stops them from moving, and it lets me move. This is quite the coup here. My opponent was probably not expecting a 5/5 for 3. I mean, that's not something you'd normally expect, but that is actually incredible. So I move, and they don't. And I also move over here, and they don't, because of this thing sneaking it through. So that was really good tempo. Now I'm actually a step ahead, and I have 2 landmarks down. Now, they do have something to show for it. They did not throw any cards out of reserve, and they also have this, which is going to become a 3/3. I'm going to toss that. It's tough, but I like this sitting in my reserve because it could cramp my opponent's plays. My opponent might be less inclined, for example, to use this to make something have anchored, because they may be like, oh, well, you'll just burst it out of existence. All right, we got another 3 little pigs. This one kind of sucks. It's the non-rare version. It's just a 4/4/4 for 3. So I'm going to have 6 mana. What am I doing with it? I still don't really want to play this because then I can't use my 3s. I could just play 2 3 little piggies. 1 in one lane, 1 in the other. Do I want to keep this for a tempo play in the future? Wait a minute. I only have 5 mana if I'm making a brass bug. Do I have to make a brass bug? No, I don't. I could just not make a brass bug this turn, and I could play pigs. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So we'll get rid of... God, I keep saying I should maybe keep my sabotage cards, but the 4 cost for sabotage, this is just rough. This resupply effect doesn't really matter coming out of the reserve because I already have things going into the reserve. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. So I am going to pass on making a brass bug so I can play both my pigs. A 4/4 in one lane and a 5/5 in the other, and we'll just see what happens with that. So we're going to resupply, because why not? We got this. This is like the better version of the brass bug hub, which I haven't really used to very good effect yet. Am I going to play that this turn? Well, if I had seen that I was going to get this, I would have kept my 1-drop. This creates 2 brass bugs when you play it, one from the hero power, one from this. Maybe maybe this is just a bad landmark. I mean, if I played it and only used it once, I spent 4 mana for 2 brass bugs. It's like a 4/4 for 4 with weird spread out mana costs. But I could use it this turn and then play this over top of it. All right, fine, we're gonna do it. I mean, let's live the brass bug life. We're gonna put the brass bug here. Oh god, I'm an idiot. I forgot about the noon effect. Oh Jesus, oh god. Oh Jesus, oh god. Okay. Well, that was stupid. Let's play this. We'll end up, I guess let's commit. Let's go ahead and put it here. And I guess we'll contest this other one. So we're technically contesting them both, so I'm just making them have to play stuff in both lanes. It may be awkward, it might not be. I guess they could just put the Sneezer Shroom here and get 2 from their hero power, and then they have 4 mana to beat a 2/2 in the other lane. Fine. So now I am generating free brass bugs every turn instead of having to pay an energy for it. And I did use 2 of the 3 counters. And I've got, you know, pigs. Pigs for days. Unfortunately, at 7 mana, I can only play a 1-drop after playing both pigs. So I might not be able to do it. But I could, like, flip Amelia Earhart into resupply. What is this? Oh, they're giving something anchored? Really, the Shroom. Well, that's fine. It is a 4/4/4 next round, so it's logical. And it doesn't cost any mana. So now they just need to play something in each lane to get 2 movements. Well, that's not trivial. They don't have 2 cards that are cheap. Ah, they have Nurture. That's okay. That'll do it. So they have 2 anchored cards, both of which got buffed to crazy heights. So that means that next turn I'm probably going to be playing the Keelon Burst if they don't sabotage it. Okay. So now we are tied. And I gotta get rid of a landmark card, which is this one. But I am generating a free brass bug every turn. And I am getting a free resupply. Well, this is an easy mana. This actually, I got 2 landmarks. Well, I got easy mana for my next couple of turns. I mean, maybe I'll get rid of this at some point with this and generate 2 brass bugs, but I'm definitely not playing the Keelon Hub. So we're going to pass that there. I could try to sabotage this Nurture because it is very strong. But on the other hand, I may want my opponent to play it, and then I can pitch something with this, though of course that's face up, so it's not likely they're going to set me up great value for it. This is perfect. Amelia Earhart is a 1/2/2/2 coming out of reserve. So I get to play pigs, and Amelia. That's almost certainly what I'll be doing unless it becomes my opponent sets me up to let me do this to great effect. Okay, a little nervous with all this anchoring going on here, but these have fleeting. They're going away for good. We're still tied. I do get a free brass bug and a free resupply every turn, so I'm not hating my position here. But my opponent did play the game very, very slowly. So it's weird. Do I use the little pigs from the hand? No, I gotta use this first. So that, because then my opponent doesn't know about it, right? I gotta try to keep it hidden. Awkward here. This is so many stats. Obviously, we can get rid of a lot of those. So we can get rid. This is basically a 6/6/6. Okay, we're gonna actually play Amelia Earhart. So what I'm gonna do is put Amelia Earhart here. The thinking is that now my opponent can see that I can use Keelon Burst to get rid of this Sneezer and win this lane, because everything is subtracted by 6 when I do that, including, I guess, crucially for me, the Forest. But it's just equal stats across the board, so the type doesn't actually matter. And my opponent can also see that I'm going to put the 3 little pigs here for a 5/5 just to edge out this Shroom. They're playing a Nurture from hand. I wonder why you'd play the one from hand when the one in the reserve costs the same and does more. That is curious. That is very curious. Okay, well, I guess there's no reason to dick around. Let's go ahead and put the 3 little pigs here. This ties us, stopping my opponent from moving. Let's say my opponent can see that I'm threatening to do this. Now, subtracting 6 at this point from here, unfortunately, isn't good enough anymore because of all these boosts from Nurture. But I might, I guess, just play the 3 little pigs from hand. It's actually not wasting my reserve because these are both fleeting. So I could play this as a 4/4 and just win this lane. And then keep this on hand. Like, this is a more powerful threat that impedes my opponent's plays a lot more because they always have to be afraid of it. Like right now, they maybe want to play Nurture just to get an extra boost on the Sneezer Shroom, but they can't because they just know I'm going to toss it with the Keelon Burst. Okay, I'm pretty happy here. They do need to play a Nurture because otherwise their reserve fills up and they're going to have to throw this thing away. This is just a 3/1/3. Well, 3/1/3 for 2 is pretty good, especially if it gets the hero power. Then it's a 4/2/4 for 2, which is pretty strong. That might be something to sabotage next turn. Meditation Training. Anchored? Okay, what are you going to anchor? You're going to anchor that. That's actually a very clever play because if I Keelon Burst it to get it off the board, I still lose in this lane. This 5/3/5 still beats my 2 brass bugs, basically. So I think what I'm going to do here is play 3 little pigs here to just win this lane. So my opponent and I each get 1 lane. So we stay parity with each other. I keep the Keelon Burst to impede my opponent's maneuvers. And... oh, I'm wrong. I guess I was a step behind and I just forgot that I was a step behind. I thought we were equal this whole time. Oops! That was... well, I don't know if I would have changed my play or not. But anyways, the good news is my opponent's hand is empty and they have to throw 2 cards away from here. Anything they throw away is going to hurt. And I've still got my pigs. This is less good, but still a 4/4/4 for 3 is fine. I can also sabotage something, and I think I'm probably going to do that next turn. I think it's very likely I'm going to play this as the first player. I don't care about this. I will probably target Inari and get rid of a very efficient play for my opponent. John Assembly Overseer. Activate the triggers of target permanent you control. So when this goes into discard, you can pitch it and get either a resupply. No, that's not an arrow trigger. Okay, I would get a brass bug though, which is fine. I think probably I just need to get rid of this brass bug hive. I mean, am I gonna ever get it? Oh, right, this thing. Oh God, I hate this thing. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. I don't want. I know that I'm never gonna put a card from hand in reserve. It's just never gonna happen. So we got 4 here, leaving me with 4 to work with. It's awkward mana, no doubt. But let's see what we get from resupply. We got a 2 with a resupply, okay, and we get brass bug. Okay, so I think I'm gonna commit this mana here, and we're gonna get rid of that. This means that my opponent has to play from hand, and I've still got 4 mana to decide what to do. I can either pitch this shroom or play the pigs and the salvager. So I have some options. I don't think I'm going to be playing this from hand because my reserve is pretty full. And yes, I've been getting free resupplies, so it's not the end of the world if I have to throw a card or 2 away, but why do that if I don't need to? I don't see that much value out of this. I mean, it is 3 stat for 2 mana, and it's relevant here with the forest. So I could do that, but I'd prefer... this sucks that this thing costs 2, because I'd love to play something for 1 and then play this. Okay, we have draw a card. Probably not going to play that. Yeah, I can't play anything for 1 and keep this burst, unfortunately. Okay. If I play the burst first, it sucks because I'm just getting rid of this shroom, basically. And my opponent then still has 5 mana to, you know, do whatever they want. Oh, God. But I can't let my opponent move in both lanes, because if that happens, I do lose the game. Why did I put this thing here? This has big desert. I should have put it in the hero side where there's desert. That was just a careless blunder. I might have been looking at my opponent's token instead of mine. Oops. Okay. Well, I think I might just be about to unceremoniously lose, but let's do the Keelon Burst. Card. Okay, we target the Sneezer. Get rid of it. And yeah, this thing should have been here. Now my opponent just needs to beat 2 Forest, and I'm out of mana, so it's over. Did I have any other moves? I mean, nothing that was better than 7/7/7 over here. Unless I fought for this lane, I guess. I could have tried to stop them here. No, I just messed up. I should have put this Scrambler over here. Okay, that's a smart play. Big stats, threatening to move. I did not, unfortunately, get a 1-drop, so I can't play anything. I have to pass, and that means I'm 0 for 2 with Axiom. And I gotta say, early impressions, I'm not impressed. This game went pretty well. I've played a lot of Muna. My opponent's things that they were doing weren't that impressive. Again, I might have made play errors, but maybe I'm bad and this is just not my style of deck. But yes, I wasn't a huge fan. I just don't think I got enough value from my slow start to make up for the fact that I wasn't, doing anything. Like with Ortis, for example, you also have slow starts where you play landmarks instead of attacking the board, but then it's really worth it. Like we saw it in the Ortis game if you watched that video, where you get that landmark that makes everything come in with a +1/+1 token, and that is just so huge compared to a free 2/2/2. So I'm inclined not to play with this deck anymore, at least until I play against other people and they show me how this is strong. That's kind of the way I do it. Otherwise, this was probably going to be a pass for a while. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.